Hi folks, this is a quick review of the Triumph Tiger 800 XRT. Normally speaking, I borrow bikes from dealers to have a test ride. This is actually my wife's machine. She is unfortunately at home with the flu, not the coronavirus as far as we're aware. And this is her bike. This is what she replaced her Tracer 700 with. Now, I've admired Triumphs for a long time. Recently, I've thought they were overpriced, to be perfectly honest. They're obviously a premium brand, or putting herself out there as a premium brand. My wife's ownership will perhaps confirm that or deny it. So, October 2019, she traded in her Tracer 700. She had loved the looks of the Tiger for a long time, and finally managed, with the help of Triumph customer relations, I think, managed to get a shot on a Tiger XRX Low, which was part of their press fleet. She loved it and basically ordered, or tried to order, an XRX Low. But as you know, the Tiger 900 is coming out, so Triumph were actually out of stock. The dealer tried his best to source one. My friend, who placed the order about 2 hours before, I think, got the last one in captivity. So anyway, she went for the XRT. It's not been without its issues because it's just a wee bit too tall for her. So we had to get some Lust lowering links for the bike, which lower it, I think, about 30mm. That caused the bike to sit up quite straight on the side stand. There just wasn't much of an angle at all. We tried with the actual low version stand, but again it's not lowered at any. As you can see now, it's actually cranked over quite a bit. This is basically with the washer mod, basically pushes out the top of the stand from memory, or part of the stand bracket, and changes the angle, which basically gives it a better lean angle and it's not quite so upright. So anyway, she's not done a lot of miles, unfortunately, because the weather in Scotland since October has been terrible. Now, I was wanting to do some footage on the bike, but unfortunately my Drift Ghost X, my second one, has given up the ghost after being out in the good old Scottish weather. They don't seem to be very Scottish weatherproof. So I'm without an action cam at the moment. So this is just going to be a by the side of the road thing. XRT is about 12.8, I think, on the road. Ludicrous price if you ask me. So what do you get? You get the Triumph's now sort of allegedly legendary triple engine. Now, I have only ridden the 1200 Tiger. That's my only other Triumphs that I've ridden, and the 1200 Tiger, buttery smooth, superbly smooth. I was expecting the 800 to be the same, and it's not. It's actually, it feels, or it maybe is a bit smoother than what I'm used to. I normally ride a Tracer 900 GT. Previously to that I had an XSR 900, and previous to that I had a Tracer 900, and previous to that I had about 30 or 40 other bikes. But that's my most recent riding history. I love a triple engine. Had I had my first shot on a Triumph triple, I possibly wouldn't be saying that now. The Triumph engine is smooth. It is smooth. It's not as smooth as the 1200. The 800 is a bit rougher. When I jumped back on my Tracer 900 GT after the 1200, my Tracer 900 felt like a bag of poo. It felt rough. It felt horrible, really horrible. So anyway, This feels more like my Tracer 900. Whether it's a size thing, you know, maybe the 900 can't get much smoother, maybe the 800's the same. Anyway, it's not as smooth as the 1200. It is maybe a bit smoother than Yamaha, but not a great deal. Not a great deal on it. It's very easy to ride, it's very comfortable. Even although I'm a little bit taller than my wife, I think my inside leg's about the same, so I probably quite like it with the lowering links, as you can maybe just see down there. Lust Racing makes it sound sporty. And that's my biggest gripe with this bike, I think. My Tracer 900, the CP3, if you've not ridden a Yamaha triple, go and ride one. The engines on them are phenomenal. The rest of them might not be great, but the engine is phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. This Triumph has a great mid-range. It's probably slightly better than the 900 Tracer at the bottom end, but not a lot, not a huge amount. But this runs out of steam at 8,000. It revs to 10, but it's not making its power up at 10,000 RPM. Whereas the Tracer has a great mid-range, good bottom end, but it also has a fabulous top end. If you like speed, if you like power, then you can really feel the difference the Yamaha 20 brake horsepower Advantage has over this. Looking at it, my wife took it to work a few weeks ago and didn't rinse it properly. It has been ACF 50'd. So hopefully everything's fine underneath, but I can see already there's some rust on the discs. You know, I can't see where an almost £2,000 premium is on this machine. Now again, because of the deal Triumph were doing late 2019, my wife got the pannier racks and the panniers free of charge. She spent another £350 on the top box because she predominantly prefers using a top box. The cost of servicing, the cost of accessories is, to me, crazy money. Crazy. However, she went into it with her eyes open, I think. So she bought this, she loves it. But in all fairness, she is missing her Tracer 700. The Tracer 700 had more character. This does not have character. It's a lovely bike, it does everything that you could ask for it, of it, very well. It is fast. I'm not saying it's not a fast motorcycle, but it is not a Yamaha triple. Doesn't even come close, unfortunately, in my expectations. It's potentially, depending how your views are, the styling's better. Some of the technology on it is amazing. Suspension, I can't remember what these come with, but they are sort of branded shocks, front and rear. They are meant to be exceptionally good. I didn't really notice the difference on the road. It's still, like most bikes of this sort of style, sort of really bouncies at the front end when you hit the brakes. The brakes are good. Wouldn't say they're any better at the front than the Yamaha. The back, which is a Nissan, which surprises me, Brembo front, Nissan rear. The back is exceptional. The back is a really good brake. I tend to ride most of the time and use my back brake. Don't use the front brake very often because I don't like the front end diving. And the back brake on the Triumph outclasses the Tracer 900 GT. Just it's there instantly. There's no movement in the pedal. It's basically on as soon as your foot touches it. It's great. So for £12,800, what do you get over and above the Tracer 900 GT? Tracer 900 GT I think is now about 11.5. So what you get, I believe, is the radiator guard as standard, LED indicators, auxiliary running lights, a really cool, which I'll just show you, really cool LED light. That's the daytime running lights. It's also got dated LED headlights. Now, one thing this trumps the Yamaha one is probably technology. The Yamaha has cruise control, so does the Triumph. The Yamaha has heated grips, so does the Triumph. I'd say the Yamaha heated grips are actually a bit better. These look like aftermarket ones, sort of plugged in, whereas the Yamaha ones are fully integrated and work off the menu. This has backlit switchgear, which I live in Scotland. If I took my bike to work and back every day, I would probably leave in the dark and come back in the dark. And everything on the Yamaha is muscle memory now. This has backlit switchgear, something all bikes should really have these days. It's got the wonderful TFT dash, which although the Yamaha 900 GT has, I would say the Tiger's nicer. It's a much nicer dash. It just is. I'll give the points to Triumph on that one. It has probably a more off-road bias, even although this is the road-going version. Sorry, I think I said this was an XRX. This is an XRT, which is top of the range. I think it's XRX, XR, XRX, and then XRT. So, LED indicators, auxiliary lights, full headlights, full tail lights, everything's LED on it basically. Now, it's got heated seats as well. My wife swears by these. I've not used it yet, but I would imagine on a cold day it is a godsend. Heated front and pillion seats. So the Triumph has more equipment, much more equipment, and it's a lovely bike to ride. I'm just glad I bought the Tracer 900 GT, because for me, for the way I like to ride, I like to tour, but I also like something that I can have a bit of fun on a day like today where the roads aren't too bad. There's obviously still a lot of salt down, but the roads aren't too bad. They're dry most places, so you can get a bit of a lean on, you can get a bit of fun. And being brought up on 2-strokes from my very early riding days, I love an engine with a top end, and this Triumph unfortunately just doesn't have a top end. It has a bottom end and a mid-range, and then it just runs out of steam. I want something that has that top end urgency. Not that I use it all the time on the Tracer, I certainly don't, but I love it. So my initial thoughts are, it's a lovely bike, the Triumph. I mean, it's got braided lines at the front, braided lines at the rear, whereas obviously Yamahas, Suzuki's, etc. all come with rubber hoses. This has a lot of good stuff added to it. I would say is standard, but obviously the XR, excuse me, the XR is quite basic. I believe it still has the old-fashioned dash. This is the top of the range, but at almost £13,000 for an 800cc. Although the new 900 I don't think is coming in much more. I'll have to have a shot of the 900 to compare that. But from what I can gather, Triumph have retuned the engine, sort of jigged the firing order to give more bottom end and mid-range. So I don't know, maybe this is a T-plane crank that they brought out early. I don't really know, but it's not, it's a lovely bike. I mean, look at it, it's lovely, beautiful bike, but I would save 1,300 quid and buy a Tracer 900 GT, and I'd ultimately, I think, have a lot more fun. If you were just, you know, constantly sticking to speed limits, constantly, you know, if you were a law-abiding citizen that never ever goes over the posted speed limits, never ever really accelerates harshly. This is a lovely touring machine. It would make a great touring machine, especially if you use the panniers that came with it. It's lovely, yeah, it's nice and smooth, got plenty of mid-range grunt. 6th gear does feel a wee bit like an overdrive, so it's not much different to my Tracer. I tend to be down into 4th gear for 30 mile an hour areas. To be honest, that wasn't much different, so I think the engines may be quite similar. I think where the Yamaha scores is the top end. It's just got a lot more top end. This just doesn't have any. That might not be important to you. The standard Triumph can sounds amazing. Yamaha could take a lesson. I don't think the Yamaha sounds bad, but this sounds like it's got an aftermarket pipe on it. The Yamaha doesn't. So yeah, it's a bit of a mute point unless you're buying one of these second hand. But if you're now looking at these new, there are a few I believe left in dealers. You'll possibly get a great deal on them with the new model coming out. But certainly I would be looking at buying something other than a Triumph. As I say, I'm going to have a shot on the 900, see what the 900's like, see if it is better, see what it's like to live with, to ride. But I like the top end. The interesting thing is Triumph have went for slightly skinnier tyres than the Tracer 900, although it's sort of adventure styled. It's not an adventure bike, it's not. Saying that, the ground clearance probably isn't much worse than this. This does have Metzeler Tourance tyres on it. It's what, a 150 70 17 at the back. The Tracer is a 180 55 17 sports tyre sort of size. The front I think it's a 110 something. Can't actually see because of the dirt. A 190 19-inch. Interesting. I knew the XRC or the SXC version of this, the one with the spoked wheels, is the more off-road biased. I thought it had a 19-inch. I didn't realise this had. So it's not horrendous. It's not a horrendous wheel size, but I prefer sports tyres, and it gives you a lot more choice. You can get all-round tyres and other things for the Tracer 900. The tyre or wheel sizes on this make this a wee bit more difficult to get the sizes that you need. But anyway, I'm going to go back to riding it, and then I've got to try and rinse off all this muck and dirt, and the muck and dirt for the last time she used it. But yes, you pay your money, you take your choice. The Triumph, I would say, is potentially a more premium product, simply because it has a lot more features, a lot more bits and pieces, like the backlit dials, the LED screen, or sorry, LCD screen's better. It has fully LED lights front and back, and indicators, braided steel lines. It's got a lot of things going for it. I'm not sure about reliability. I'm not sure, you know, let's face it, a bike made in Thailand, even if it's to Triumph's rigorous standards, I just think the exhaust has been lazily done. If you look at a Tracer 900 or an MT-09 or an XSR, the exhaust's just much nicer. That's just like somebody's welded 3 bits of metal together. But, you know, it does its job. It sounds better. That's a thing. But anyway, if I was paying my money, I would certainly go for a Tracer 900. Save a lot of money. Potentially a Tracer 900 GT if you want some of the toys like cruise control, LCD dash, and heated to grips, integrated and luggage. You know, again, I think there's some Tracer 900s out there at cracking deals, 18 plates or 18 model years, 19 model years, so you could get a great deal on one of them. You might get a good deal on one of these if a Triumph dealer's got an 800 sitting about. Obviously the next big thing's going to be the 900. That's going to be well worth testing, see how it compares to this. But certainly my money would be on Yamaha over this. My money is on Yamaha over this. And my wife's money is potentially going back onto Yamaha over this. Because although she loves the bike, it's just not exciting to ride. And you know, she's quite she's only passed her test 3-4 years ago. So it's not like she's a really experienced rider. She's as experienced as a lot of people are, but it's not like she's got 20 odd years riding experience. This is 3-4 years riding experience, and she misses the excitement of a 700 Tracer, which is giving away 20 brake horsepower to this. Makes you think, folks. The best thing you can do is get out, ride one, see what you think. You're the person buying it. It's your hard-earned money that's going on these machines, not mine. I can make recommendations all day long, but it's your money that buys your toys or your work transport, whatever it is. You have to decide where that money's best spent. For me, I'll be sticking with my Tracer 900. Thanks for watching, and hopefully, subject to weather, be back soon, maybe on a Triumph Tiger 900.